Hey, kindergarten, how are you today? Happy Monday today. Hope you had a great weekend and celebrated your mom yesterday for Mother's Day. And we're going to talk this week about a few different things. And the newest thing we're going to talk about this week is maps. And so I have sent several videos for this week. I'll send a couple every day, or at least one every day, about maps, so that you can learn some things with maps. I don't have a lot of map stories to read, but we have some videos so that you understand maps a little bit more and some differences and what they're like a little bit. But we'll do some things with that today. We're going to work on addition and subtraction review. That means we've already done it and we're looking at it again. And then the last thing is we have two new trick words this week: of, O-F, of. It sounds like a V, of. Sounds like you'd spell it v with a V, but it's O-F, of. And have. This one does have a V. Have. And the A does not make the long A sound, even with that E at the end. The rule would be it would do the opposite, but it doesn't. So this is have, this is of, and have. Those are our new trick words for this week. So starting off talking about maps. First, I want to tell you what a map is. A map is a representation of places in relation to other places. So it tells where something is with where something else is. Like, is it far away? How do you get there? All of those things. And so for some examples of some things that would be considered maps, or we can talk about with maps, the first one I have is a ball here that is a globe. Okay, and a globe shows where the oceans, the blue part, and all of the colors, the continents. Continents are land forms, and people can live on some of those land forms, or people do live on some of those. And the oceans are the water that separates those. So if I turn around to right here in green, I'll try not to get too much of a glare. This is the United States of America. Our state of those United States is Ohio. And so this is a globe that shows all of the countries, all of the continents, all of the oceans of the whole earth. It has a North Pole and a South Pole and an equator that goes through the middle. We've talked about this part before. The North Pole and South Pole would be the places where it would be coldest, and the equator, the middle part, would be closest to the sun. And so that would be some of the hottest places. And depending on how the earth is turning and how it's tipped, other places have day and night and warmer or cooler temperatures. So the next one I wanted to show you, it's another kind of map. I happened to bring home a puzzle from school, and this is a puzzle of the states of the United States of America. So in this, according to the outside of this, it's got ocean around the outside, and it has all 50 states that you put together. And Ohio then is right here in red above my finger. It's got a football. Yep, it's got a football on there. So each of the states is on here, all 50 states. This is the shape of the United States. And so this is a map of the United States. Let me set that one out of the way. The next one I grabbed out of my car this morning, and this is a map of, I think it's of Lorain County. This is the, oh no, it's not. This is the map. This is the map, the one I grabbed out of the car this morning. This is where my daughter is teaching this year. She teaches at Mount Gilead, and it says, "Welcome to Mount Gilead in Morrow County." And so this is a map of the area where she's teaching. And this one shows, do one more fold out here. Oh, no, this one. This one shows where all the roads would be and how she could get somewhere. She could find where she needs to go and see which roads she needs to follow. And so this is a map of the county, and this is where she's working this year. This is her first year as a teacher. And so I couldn't see the way it was folded, which one it was. And the last one I want to show you is one that you've probably seen some people use before. And this would be another version I have on my phone right here. I pulled up a map. You can type in places on a phone too, and it'll pull up a map of how you get somewhere. And so when I ask to go somewhere, I type in where I want to go. Like if I typed in the school from my house, it would give me directions, go out of my driveway, which way to go, how far to go, and what it takes to get to that other place. And so there's lots of different kinds of maps. So I wrote the word map up here on the top. So we think of maps as globes. You can unfold maps. You can have big maps. You can have small maps. Excuse me. You can use a phone for a map, but it tells us how to get places, or it shows us places. And that's what maps do. So maps have some things too that I wanted to talk about. And one is called a compass rose. So I'm going to write compass rose on here. These are things we would be doing or making if we were at school. And so a compass rose, right here, this says compass rose, kind of looks like this. And it shows directions. Where is the north and the south and the east and the west? And sometimes they abbreviate or shorten those to north, south, east, and west. And it shows directions. So a map will tell you which way is north, that type of thing. Another thing that maps have is called a key. And the key is like the directions that we have to kind of look at sometimes. And the key tells us how big the map is. Like if it has a little tiny space like this, like it really isn't just this far. It's really maybe like 10 miles or something. So it tells how far that would be. And in that key, they also have some symbols usually. I'm going to write the word symbols on here. Symbols. And the symbols might tell things like where there is a hospital. Usually there's a cross to show a hospital, or sometimes an H too. That's another way to show it for hospital. It might show you where there's a restaurant. Sometimes it'll put a sign that has like a fork, a knife, and a spoon. And that'll mean restaurant. Sometimes it puts something like this. I will show it to you and see if you can think about what it means. This one right here by my finger would show a road. Sometimes it might show, let me draw another one real quick for you. See if you can figure out what this one might show. Something like this. That shows maybe where there's a woods or a forest. Sure. It can show all kinds of things. It can show a pond. It can show a playground. Here's my pond over here on this side. So those symbols are pictures that mean something on the map. Rather than write out the word like railroad tracks, they draw something that looks like railroad tracks, which might look like, let me draw one real quick on here. You can imagine what I'm drawing on here that looks like railroad tracks, something like that. And so those things on the map would tell us what we're looking for. Like down near my house, there's a railroad track. So on the road, they might show where the railroad tracks cross. So that type of thing. So that's kind of a little bit about what maps are and what they're used for. The next thing I wanted to do with you today, over here, I drew a map looking down, like if you were a bird flying over, an airplane flying over, and looking down into our classroom. So I have this, and I drew this shape of our classroom. It's pretty much a rectangle. There's a little cutout there over by our door. But then the only thing I started so far is the doors. And so down here, this is the door coming into our classroom. So if you can imagine from the hallway walking into our classroom, and then this is our big open space. And if we look right beside the door, if we turn and look this way, we're looking back towards the sink. And here's our area where we have the whiteboard, or we sit on the carpet. I say, go sit on the carpet. Go look at books over there. And then this is the door going outside that we use for fire drills, or the car riders use at the end of the day. And so I was going to do some things with that for you, and we could talk about that. So picture in your head just a minute, just think just a minute, kind of maybe close your eyes if you need to, and think about when you're in the classroom, when you're walking in the classroom from the hallway, and you walk right in the door and you look forward. What do you see over here? What do you see? I'll kind of draw it like this. Do you know what this would be looking in over here? This is my desk. This is Mrs. Crushaw's desk. So I'm going to write desk on here. And over by the desk, remember the teacher table where we like to sit? I kind of sit in that little bump out part. I sit in here, and you guys sit on the stools around that. Make sure I'm turned the right way so you can all see. Yeah, so we have that. Over here, we have a table that has a couple computers on it. We have our birthdays on there. So here's a table. Here's our manipulative shelf. where we get the math manipulatives. Can you remember that part? Our math manipulatives. Here's the carpet area. I'm going to make the whiteboard up here. And here's my rocking chair where I sit to read stories to you. Let's see if I can make this look like a rocking chair. It'll do. Not really, but it'll do. We have an easel here. An easel is where I put some big paper like this sometimes. And then also when we look in the room, we have a table right here, which is where you sit to do iReady sometimes. Some of you sit here. Some of you also sit at a table over here to do iReady. And then we also have some tables in our classroom where we sit to do our work. We have some square tables and we have some rectangles. And then think about this part. If we go in our room, we also have a big, long row of something. And you each have one. Do you remember what these are? Actually, I get to go in on Wednesday and clean some things out of those. And if you have something, I'll have a bag for you. These are your cubbies along here. Here's the cubbies. So you each have a cubby along there. And then we have the sink back here. Mailboxes, where you get your mail. Where you put your work when you're done. I can look at it and put it in there. Mrs. Ux helps us. Here's the sink. Sometimes we go there to wash our hands. We have a shelf over here where we put the inside recess things. There's some cupboard doors open. And this going in this little room right here, can you tell what that would be? Do you remember? That's our restroom with a sink here and a toilet. If I can draw the shape of a toilet there. Will do. And some shelves we have in there with our extra supplies on there. So we have lots of things. We have some beanbag chairs here to sit on and some more shelves. Got lots of things. So this is kind of like a representation, a map of our classroom. So as we're talking about things and maps, we can talk about the parts of a map. Compass rose, key, symbols. Compass rose shows north, south, east, and west. Excuse me. A key shows how far things are. And the symbols would be all of these different things. Like our symbols on this, these little circles here, we could write in our symbols down here that the circle equals a stool. That's one of those stools that we sit on. And the rectangles and the squares are tables. So we could show those things using that. We could show all of those things in our symbols down here at the bottom. So that's a little bit about map making today. This week, we're going to do some stories and some other map lessons together. Like I said, we also have some map videos for you to watch. So be sure to watch those. You'll learn some things about them. It's just to kind of learn a little bit about it. And we would do some of those songs if we were at school too, some of those videos and songs. So go ahead and watch those this week and enjoy them. And I will send you videos and you have a great day. I will talk to you later. Bye. Take care.